Yeah.
All right, it's coming up to 10 to 9, and almost 100 years ago, a woman called Mercedes Gleitz became the first woman ever to swim the Channel.
Yes, but when a rival swimmer falsely claimed to have completed the challenge in a faster time, she was forced to swim it again.
Mercedes went on to complete many more remarkable swimming records. And now her extraordinary life is being celebrated in a new film. It's called Vindication Swim. Have a look.
What if I don't make it?
Oh, I'll wager you can arrive at 1,000 reasons why you won't. All you have to do is hang on to the one that says you can. Only there, you know, just beyond the horizon. For hour after hour you'll be kicking away at the ocean. Then you reach that point. You raise your head out of the water and you see it.
See what?
White cliffs.
Well, joining us now are the actors Kirsten Callaghan, John Locke, as well as writer and director Elliott Hasler. Morning to you all. Thank you so much for coming in. It's an incredible film about a really remarkable woman. Tell us about her.
Well, her name is Mercedes Gleitz, and she swam the Channel in 1927, so that's what she's most known for. She was a pioneer in long-distance open water swimming.
Almost unimaginable now, because when we see people swim the Channel now, we know, we're aware of the amount of technology and support they have. Back then, what sort of support did she have?
She didn't have a lot of support at all, to the point where, at that time, most people thought a woman could never, ever swim the Channel. So she funded all of her own swims, and she only had a tiny rowing boat next to her when she swam. And in that boat was a photographer and her coach and the rower and a doctor. So that's all she had available.
And these are original images from the time?
Yes. Yeah.
She's out of the water there. Looks like she just got married.
Yeah.
John, you play her coach.
I do indeed.
Harold. So
Harold
you're in
Best.
that little boat at the side, encouraging her and
Absolutely.
training her.
Absolutely. Yes.
Were
yes.
you aware of this story before the script came your way?
Not at all. Not at all. I hadn't heard of it. I had worked with Elliott before, but this was an extraordinary experience, because I remember it clearly, and it was on a summer's afternoon, early summer's afternoon, and Elliott had sent me the script, and I thought to myself, well, I'll read 20 pages of this, and then I'll go off and make myself some tea. That was at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. At 8 o'clock in the evening, having read it 3 times, made all kinds of notes, I folded up the script, put it beside me and thought, this really is going to be the most extraordinary experience for a character actor to do this film. And indeed, that was the case. It was utterly, utterly extraordinary.
And no tea. So you kept on reading. That's how good it was.
I kept on reading. I don't think I ate that now.
Yeah, there we go. Well, Elliott, I mean, that's really a very, very good sign, isn't it? What is it about Mercedes that you thought might be special? Those incredible archive pictures give us some indication of how well known she was in her local area at the time. But then she did disappear, didn't she?
She really did. I mean, she was well known globally at the time. She swam all over the world, straight to Gibraltar, Robben Island to Cape Town. But yeah, she had faded from kind of the public sphere. And I stumbled across the story back in, it would have been about 2019, in an article. And I was just shocked by how incredible she was. I mean, what she did was extraordinary as a woman at that time. And just even as a person, I mean, to swim the Channel, even today, more people have climbed Mount Everest than have done it. So it's an incredible feat of endurance. And Mercedes' spirit and her character really inspired me. We're actually also born exactly a century apart, so that was kind of nice as well. I was born in 2000, she was born in 1900, so there was a nice kind of synergy that set the whole thing off on a good tone.
Not just extraordinary that she did it, but the extraordinary story of how it was kind of snatched away from her as well. Just to explain, this is a woman called Mona.
Yes, so there was a kind of big hoax scandal. There was sort of 2 women competing to try and swim the Channel, so Mercedes had a rival in 1927 at the time. I don't want to give too much away about, I don't want to spoil the movie for people who are going to go and see it, but Yeah, there was a big kind of scandal, a big cheating scandal. So Mercedes went out and said, look, I will swim it again. I will vindicate myself, hence the title. And she went out there and proved that she did, in fact, swim the channel and could do it.
Because it got quite nasty at the time, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, yeah. There was a lot of press coverage about it. You know, sort of these women were really vilified in the media, Mercedes especially. So, yeah, it was a very fascinating kind of aspect of the story to tap into for the film.
Kirsten, how much swimming did you have to do to play this part?
A lot of swimming. I trained for 3 months before we started filming. I was already a confident swimmer in the pool, but I'd never done open water. So there's a Palace Pier in Brighton, so my coach would take me out and we'd swim around that.
Your actual coach or your coach?
My actual coach, Melody Tyra. She is amazing. So she got me really confident being out quite far in the sea and the cold and getting used to the weather changes all the time and the currents, so...
And Mercedes had quite a specific style of swimming as well,
She did.
Yeah.
She loved breaststroke. That was her favourite stroke, which is incredible, really. And she did side stroke, and then we've got some front crawl in there as well, because that came into fashion for women in the 20s, so it taps into all the different strokes.
And she was obviously swimming at a time when things were fairly basic. What were you able to do to keep yourself maybe slightly warmer?
Nothing.
Wow.
It's all authentic. So I trained in the same way she trained. And in the film, I wear a 100-year-old swimming costume from the time. So every time I got out of the water, it had to be re-sewn up. It was, yeah, nothing. And I had motorcyclist goggles on because that's what they had at that time, so you couldn't see, and the swimming hats were aviator style because that was what was in fashion, so I couldn't hear either. So there was lots of different challenges.
Gosh, talk about method acting. Yeah. I mean, were you frightened out there in the water?
Sometimes I was, yeah. And she's just so fearless, Mercedes, so I'd always have to tap into her mindset. Would she carry on? Yes, she would. So I had to take on her spirit, yeah.
And John, did you feel at any point during filming actually quite responsible here for Kirsten to...
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, to keep her going?
You see, I mean, there are no tanks involved in this. There are no stunt doubles. There are no sort of inputs or anything. Everything that you see is Kirsten Callaghan 2 miles out in the channel. And we did it at all times of the year in order to get the variety of shots that you see in the film. We did it in all seasons, in all temperatures, and that is Kirsten swimming for hours on end in order to get the variety of shots that Elliott needed. I mean, the bravery of this actress doing it, not a swimmer, an actress playing the part of this character, is extraordinary, and that's why the film has this very real sense, and why I, as her coach in the boat, was truly concerned about her. Some of the more dramatic scenes where I found myself almost falling in to save her.
Almost. Almost, but not quite.
Not quite.
And Elliott, even though we're talking about such a gruelling story, the film is really rather beautiful, isn't it?
Thank you.
It's very stylish.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to tap into that sort of look of the 20s and get those big open vistas out on the water. I mean, the channel is such a beautiful place to be filming. And like John and Kirsten both said, everything is real. There's no tanks, no green screens, body doubles. We were out there 2 miles out at sea shooting these scenes in such a beautiful, pristine environment.
And how technically difficult is that?
Incredibly difficult, yeah. I mean, sometimes we go out there and we'd get maybe 1 or 2 shots and that'd be that for the day. But when you do get those shots, it's so rewarding. But I was in the water as well, kind of filming these shots and things like that. So it was a very challenging shoot, getting everything to line up, and the swell and the wind and
You were physically in the water?
For some of it, yeah. I was either in the boat or I was in the water. I had a wetsuit on, so I can't say I was suffering from the cold as much. But, yeah, maybe. But Kirsten is, the true hero of this movie with what she did.
And John and Elliott, you've actually worked together before, haven't you?
We have indeed, yes.
What was that? What project was that?
Yes. That was on To Hunt a Tiger, okay. which was a film, and that was how I really knew what Elliott could do, because when I read the script for that, you found a line in it that said, "We see a tiger emerge from the jungle, close up of the tiger's eye," and you look at that and you think, well, it's not going to do that, is it? And indeed, there is original footage in To Hunt a Tiger of a tiger emerging from the jungle and there is a close-up of the tiger's eye, exactly as Elliott says. Won't say how he did it, but he did it, and it was real. And so that was how I knew that he had an extraordinary ability for concept in film, for conceiving films, for executing it as a director, and for writing extraordinary scripts.
Kirsten, let's come back to you for the final word. As Mercedes, I'm just wondering how much swimming you're doing now the filming is over. Can you bear going to the pool?
I go to the pool. I haven't been in the sea at the moment, but I did do a charity swim, and I may do a charity relay. Our producer, Sally Wood, did the channel relay, which is incredible. So there's lots of people in the team that are amazing swimmers. So maybe, yes.
Maybe. Never say never.
Never say never.
Well, look, thank you all so much for coming in. It is a fantastic, fascinating story. Now, I knew nothing about it at all. The movie's called Vindication Swim. It's released in cinemas, appropriately enough, on International Women's Day, which is the 8th of March.
Do stay with us. The headlines are coming right up.